Wow, that's still one creepy orphan. Orphan First Kill has arrived in limited theaters and on Paramount Plus, and it's a prequel to the 2009 film Orphan, which is a hidden gem of a horror film. I absolutely love the original film, and for some reason it moved from Warner Brothers to Paramount Pictures, but this is a prequel. I will go into spoilers of the first film and in a spoiler section at the end of this video for Orphan First Kill, so if you have not seen any of the Orphan films, do not watch this. This is a prequel film to show you how Esther came to be and how she arrived to where she was in the first film. And it talks about her first kill, the first family that is briefly mentioned in the original film. We have a different director on this installment. We have William Brent Bell, who did the Boy films. We also have Isabel Fuhrman return as Esther, Julia Stiles and Rossif Sutherland as Tricia and Alan Albright. Isabel Fuhrman knocks it out of the park, and I don't know whether she was more creepy as a 12-year-old pretending to be a 33-year-old who's pretending to be a 12-year-old, or more creepy as a 23-year-old who's been de-aged and is pretending to be a kid. I don't know, man. This one, she creeps me out more, but Isabel Fuhrman gives another fantastic, chillin' performance as Esther. She was born to play this role, and it's amazing what they've done. There's been some like CG de-aging with some practical tricks with like other actors wearing lifts, body doubles. Pretty much think about like Lord of the Rings and how they did the Hobbits. They kind of did some practical tricks here and there. And I think the director does a fantastic job. This is a completely different movie from the first. Upon first viewing, you might think it's kind of a generic prequel, kind of going through the beats of what we already know. You know, a lot of the surprise has already been taken away. We know this isn't a real girl. We know this is a woman. But now you get to be with Esther on this journey as she goes through this con of conning this family. We get to see her as she escapes the Estonia Mental Institute. That place is like Arkham Asylum. It's creepy. I love what they do at the beginning of this movie. And she ends up going on this website finding missing children, and she tries to look like this girl named Esther from America. And that's where Julia Stiles comes in. You know, she's this girl's mother. Father's all distraught. He is a painter. We get to see the blacklight backstory of why Esther uses a blacklight paints in the original film. But she has an older brother, a mom and dad who miss her, and she's missing. And Esther pretends to be this girl. And you're just like, wow, she's going to really con this family and say that she's this family's missing daughter. So we get to see how Esther goes into America, why she's named Esther. You know, it's Lena. And I like that because it's one aspect that wasn't fully explored in the original film. And for the most part, it's her terrorizing them, trying to seduce the dad. And then the second half happens, and there's another twist that I will not give away right now that is just amazing. That took what would have been a generic prequel and elevated it into an iconic film in my eyes. I think this is up there with the first. The first film is a little bit more sophisticated on a technical level in the way it's shot, but this one really adds a twist that surprised me and took me off guard. And I didn't think after the first movie's twist that there would be anything that could measure up to that. And boy, does it measure up and turn this into a completely different monster. It really elevates this prequel film and turns something that would have otherwise been generic into something pretty incredible. And I have to say, I love Julia Stiles' acting in this. She knocks it out of the park. Her and Isabel Fuhrman really seem like they had a lot of fun in this movie, and I like it because they add more to it. Even though the family looks a little bit different than the photograph of the original film, it matches perfectly to the original film. And, you know, you kind of know what's going to happen because Esther's around in the original film, but, like, still, there are some stakes and twists that are added in there that kind of take you on the edge of your seat, you know. And because of that, I would give this a 4 out of 5. It definitely makes the final cut. And I didn't think that would be possible. I was like, do we really need a prequel to Orphan? How are they going to do it? Isabel Fuhrman's like 23 years old. You do get to see that. Esther, even though they de-aged her, she looks like a creepy kid, but then some part of her does look a bit older. But that works because she is an older woman and she hasn't perfected the Esther kind of like child orphan disguise yet. like we saw in the first film. So like Esther's still learning. This is like her first kill, her origin story to how she started this con. And I really like what they did here. It's kind of like what they did with Don't Breathe 2, but on Don't Breathe 2, they try to make it seem like this villain was like sympathetic in a way and like was not a flawed human being. And Esther is a flawed human being. She's fucking evil. And this film does not shy away from that, you know, and I kind of like what they do here. So if you're a fan of the first film, I would recommend checking this one out. You might be pleasantly surprised. This film has a surprising twist, and I have to say it's surprisingly twisted, to say the least. So yeah, it makes the final cut, and it's one of the finest horror movies to come out in the year of 2022. Now, for some spoilers. If you have not seen Orphan First Kill, leave right now. Boy, just when I thought it was going to be a generic film, something even more fucked up happens with this fucked up family. And Julia Stiles, on that reveal that Esther was really dead, the brother killed her by accident, the mother covered it up, and the father having no idea about it. Julia Stiles knowing that that isn't her daughter. Like, she knows that Esther is a freaking con artist. Lena is a con artist. And I love that. That twist completely took me off guard and turned this generic prequel film to something completely different, where now we're kind of rooting for the mutated dwarf, you know? To quote Julia Stiles, now we're rooting for Esther. It's like, God, this family is so messed up. I kind of want her to get out of this situation. She's almost like a prisoner now in her own con. And that's such a brilliant twist that I was not expecting, and it was a pleasant surprise. I love seeing the origin, like I said, and some of the scenes here too, where Isabel Fuhrman just kind of totally goes evil, where she's like talking to that guy in another language, tells her brother to fuck off and stuff like that. Like, she's evil. The rat scene is iconic, and who could forget Maniac? There's a scene with Maniac from Flashdance that was just, I was just laughing. This film was shot, and it wasn't all shaky cam. It didn't feel low budget, and then it also remembered to have fun while also being dark, and it kind of reminded me of the kind of like horror films of the 80s and 90s that were dark and messed up, but then still remembered how to have fun. In many ways, even though it's not a doll, it's an orphan, it kind of has like a Chucky feeling to it, just a little bit, you know? And I really enjoyed this film. And again, the first one was a hard film to beat, and I think it's still the best one, but this one is up there as a solid second entry, as a solid prequel. And I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It makes the final cut. Julia Stiles absolutely kills it in this role. Seeing them fight, the scenes where Esther's trying to kill them, I mean, it's just like two fucked up individuals in the same household. And as I mentioned earlier, Don't Breathe, try to make the villain sympathetic. This one, you feel sorry for them, but they're both are just messed up individuals in a messed up situation. And you see that fire at the end. You know, it matches the first film. That ending is practically a homage to Psycho with Norman Bates. I loved it. I love what the second half of this film did. It delivered and did not disappoint. This Orphan First Kills is surprisingly twisted. What can I say? Those are my brief thoughts in retrospective of Orphan First Kill. Let me know, have you seen Orphan First Kill or Orphan? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the film. In the meantime, you can subscribe for more videos and check out these other videos for more content. May everyone stay safe and healthy. Till next time,